Hello everybody and welcome back. It has been a very long time and it is actually very good to talk to all of you again today. Please don't freak out that there's a World of Warships game going on in the background. I know I got that a few times recently when I was on stream and people jumped on and they saw me streaming and they're like, holy crap, we haven't seen you for 3 years and oh my god, why are you playing WoW? So it's like, okay guys, it's still really the only kind of real naval game out there, and plus a lot of my friends are still playing this. Well, I wouldn't say them playing it by themselves, but they will play it in a division. So I'm occasionally playing it, and on stream it's a good place to talk about ships and boats and whatnot. So okay, I guess before I get anywhere, let's do a couple things. First of all, officially I'm done my naval architecture program. So graduation is very soon, and that's when I get the piece of paper. But I can pretty much call myself a naval architect, so huzzah, mission accomplished in that sense. For those of you who are wondering, like, are you now officially done school? Unfortunately not. I've got another couple of years of graduate school left, so but that shouldn't be as insane in terms of workload. So the naval arch program in terms of workload was just ridiculous. I mean, drawings took literal thousands of hours of CAD and things like that. So I don't think anything I do in grad school can be remotely that horrid. So good news and bad news, I guess, right? Which does mean that I should have some more time to make content in the upcoming weeks, months, and years. Now, this next part of the question is, am I going to be making WoW's content? The answer to that question is, well, sometimes, right? I do occasionally still kind of enjoy the game, and I will occasionally play it. And this, by the way, is one of the games I played yesterday in a St. Vincent. There's something to be said about the current WoW's game. I played 30 games. Yeah, I had a kind of one of those extended sessions, and this is the only really memorably good game. The kind of game that gives you the feel good kind of feeling, like, oh yes, there was a closely fought battle, decisions mattered, things mattered, just little shots you make here and there, those count, things like that. 1 out of 30, not exactly the best ratio there. I mean, a lot of the games were crazy blowouts, one way or the other. Either my team got blown out or my team blew out the other team. Wasn't particularly super fun. So anyways, yeah, there are going to be some WoW's content. I do, again, probably sometime in the next while, I do want to start making some updates to some of the old guide videos and stuff like that, just because there just doesn't seem to be that many good guide videos these days. So that is something I want to do. However, more importantly, the things I really want to start doing is I want to start making videos where I hope to give all of you a more of a insight, I guess, into the design process when it comes to ships. And hopefully that'll allow you to look at a ship on a more technical level. So currently, one of the things I am currently working on, for example, is a video on the much maligned LCS class ships down the US. That's a class of ship that is unfortunately not super well examined. Let's just put it that way. Yes, those ships have had loads of issues, technical and whatnot, but fundamentally, I think a lot of analysis, quote unquote, doesn't really come from the best direction. So, and that's not just that one particular project, it's a lot of other ship-based type things. So I'm hoping that, I'll be able to start kind of making videos that really kind of give you more insight, I guess, into the way ships are. So that will be an upcoming task. And so those are really the two major things. Now, do of course let me know what you think about that, right? So, do you think that's something you would enjoy? Is it something that you think is going to get way too much? Things like that. And of course, just overall, I'm hoping to get people interested in not only ship design, but maybe even the larger marine industry. You know, maybe get people to start thinking about possibly, you know, if you're young enough to have a career, maybe even designing ships, which would be kind of cool, because that might mean I might run into people like that in industry one day, which is like going to be super wild. But we'll see how that goes, right? That's just kind of, you know, I guess a lofty goal for now, and we'll see how that all wraps up at the end. So, moving on, and away from that, you know, back to the game at hand. St. Vincent, just on my sort of my perspective of it, actually a really enjoyable ship. And the British battlecruiser line, by the way, has been quite an enjoyable line to play as a whole. Although the names of a few of them I do find kind of comedic, and I think it was just the way that I think they were pronounced in the wargaming video, where one was called, what was it? Hang on a second. I think one of them was called Rookie, but then the other one was called Hawk. And I just don't buy it. They both end with E, darn it. If it's Rookie, it better be Hockey too. Heck, let's just start throwing E's at the end of all the British battlecruiser names. Anyways, so yeah, and then so that's the you know, the impressions, I guess, of the British battlecruisers. On the flip side, though, submarines. Oh man. Oh, you don't come back for a long period of time and you experience submarines, and it is just like, my goodness, what a wild ride. Totally have gotten into very amusing interactions with submarines that are just kind of those things that you kind of, you know, experience, and then you just kind of sit there and went, yep, that happened. Now, on a positive note, I don't take this game, I think, as seriously anymore, which I think helps. And I think maybe that's the winning move when it comes to World of Warships, is to just entirely treat it like it's a super non-serious, almost comedic type of thing. And that's how I've been treating it since, like, sort of, you know, 2 weeks ago when I really started kind of getting back into it. There's just some times where things happen and you're like, right, okay, yeah, that happened, you know, totally. Like, oh, submarines, yeah, totally the most enjoyable. And this is not fun, by the way. I actually got caught in this kind of really kind of scenario. Torpedoes from a DD to the north of me, and then the submarine torpedoes, so I actually lost a good chunk of HP. Fortunately, St. Vincent does have a super heal, which, you know, does allow me to kind of get my ship back, but that is really precious HP that I lost regardless, and it is going to make, as you'll see, the latter part of this battle a lot more stressful. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. And like, these submarines are just so fast. I mean, sometimes you can't even feel like you can't even run away from them because of how quickly they can catch up to you, and all the while staying very much invisible. Yeah, the submarine thing. These days I kind of have to ask myself which one was the worst implementation, submarines or carriers, and I think I'm leaning towards subs a little bit more, although some of the carriers, some of the new ones are also a little bit out there. Malta being one of those, which is also kind of oh man, yeah, you guys have totally gotta you totally gotta give me a, you know, I guess, you know, leave me some comments, tell me how your experience with the game has gone, because it's just such a different thing today. Like, it is such a different overarching experience. Maybe that's the best way to even put it, but it is just so different. Alright, so now submarines out of the way, and this is actually where the game does start to pick up in intensity, right? Because if you actually look closely, there's just 3 of us left, and the enemy still has quite a few ships, and so every single little action is going to matter. Enemy is ahead on points, they're going to be ahead on caps, a whole bunch of stuff, right? So fortunately for me, I do pick up, I mean, yes, the carrier is there and it's very tempting to shoot at him. I did pick up that there's a DM who got caught out by those torpedoes, and, you know, he's kind of in a vulnerable position. So if I can get rid of this Des Moines, and again, every single shot is going to matter now, right? Every single target selection that I make is going to matter. Now, I should have held that for like a fraction of a second more. But at the time, I wasn't sure if I was actually going to be able to delete that Des Moines. Had I not been able to, then a follow-up shot would have been necessary, but he might have gotten behind cover, so that's where the follow-up shot came from. But if I guess it was just half a second longer, might have been able to save half a salvo for the CV. Now, I don't have any vision on the CV, so that, yeah, I guess I would have reloaded in time, so that's fine. Anyhow, shooting at the CV now, and you'll notice that this Malta does have bombers up. And you'll also notice that I don't have a lot of HP, so everything becomes a bit of a trade-off here, right? So over here, I have 11,000 HP. Should I, you know, pop this heal, because the heal's coming back, should I pop this heal before the bombers come, or should I just wait until the bombers bomb me so I can try to maximize this heal to the maximum ability? I opted to hold to try to maximize it to the max. 1,000 HP, yeah, I was really cutting it close there. Malta is low, and I'm on reload right now. Now the bombers are coming back. This is where it's like down to seconds sometimes, right? You'll see that the Malta just gets this bombing run off in time. Does get killed off by the Minotaur, but you'll see that the Malta does manage to send up a torpedo squadron. Had the Minnow maybe even landed, you know, one extra shell ahead of time before that bomber was able to be recalled and the torpedo bomber sent out, wouldn't have been having to deal with that Malta's torpedo bombers, which means there's one little bit less air sort of vision, and also no threat from those bombers. Anyways, enemy Hindenburg, this salvo absolutely had to matter. If I failed on that delete, my Minotaur is going to have a real rough time trying to carry this game, right? Because Minnow with, you know, against the Hindi, and the Hindi has destroyer support, that's going to be rough. So very, very, very crucial shot there. Had to execute correctly. That Malta is still hanging around. Now, yes, I've got some AA cover from the Minnow, so Malta is currently just providing vision, kind of holding back here. Torpedoes, I should be able to pull that off there. Get a reasonably okay hit on the enemy destroyer here. Still trying to make sure that I'm not the easiest target right away. You know, trying to make it so that the Malta can't just come in immediately and then eliminate me from this, because I really want to have one more salvo on that enemy destroyer, right? Because he is peppering me with shells. So there's the Minnow, pops the radar. Oh, I gotta wait for it. Here it comes. Enemy destroyer. Yep, still pretty healthy destroyer. So just kind of waiting for the shot, because I need to try to chunk this destroyer for as much HP as I can. And I land a really good salvo, right? This is gonna make the Minotaur's job easier, because I'm inevitably gonna die here. There's not a lot of ways for me to survive, because eventually this Malta is gonna have to commit to bombing something. I'm still, of course, worried about the fact that there's also a Z-52 over here, and in that position, Z could have dropped torpedoes. So, you know, I'm trying to decide where I've got to try to, you know, avoid possible torpedoes. Malta comes in, of course, first, so that's pretty much the enemy, right? So now it's just up to the Minnow and the CV in my division to try to carry this game. And of course, enemy team's got a sub and 2 destroyers, which Minnow's got to kind of pull some magic here. And this is what I mean. Like, every single thing in this game ended up being kind of crucial, right? If I did not kill the Des Moines in time, if I didn't kill the Hindenburg in time, things would have been rough. If the enemy destroyers did the right things, dodged everything, avoided everything, maybe they would have gotten away, right? But, you know, fortunately, you know, there's a bit of coordination going on here, which is good. Minnow is able to get this daring in a pretty bad situation for the daring, and the daring trying to get away. And of course, in order to angle the daring, you basically have to put yourself in a vulnerable position, and the Haku on the team is going to come in and take care of that. Now, it might look like we're doing okay, right? But still, currently we're still down on cap. which means that if we send the minnow to go chase down the Z52, then they're going to be able to get more points from the 2 cap advantage they have. So the minnow now has to both take this cap, dodge those torpedoes, dodge possibly torpedoes from the Z52 as well, which, by the way, came right there. Just margins are really, really thin here. And also cannot drift out of this cap, has to take it in order to establish some way for our team to take the lead. The enemy submarine is still somewhere, and you know, the last estimate is sort of maybe behind the minnow, maybe now going after the carrier, not 100% sure. Carrier, of course, is also doing the best that he's able to by keeping this Z52 somewhat spotted and trying to carry out some attacks here and there. Minnow, of course, you know, shooting at 52 from a distance, doable, not the easiest thing in the world, right? And then I think we got a little bit lucky here, because watch this. This is RNG in action here. I think we got blessed here. Z52 tried to reset the minnow, and the first 2 salvos that the 52 fired just went right around the minnow. So we were able to take the center cap, but of course, as you can see, our C cap is now being taken by the submarine. So, which means that this minnow cannot go after the Z52, has to continue moving over to the A cap in order to try to take that, right? And this makes the game kind of challenging for us, right? Now, I would think at this particular time, with just sort of how much time is left on the clock and the fact that the minnow now has to go for the A cap, the 52 is really kind of in a tough position, right? Because, you know, they're still in a bit of a points advantage for now, and once the submarine is able to take the C cap, they're going to pick up a few more points here. So it's a bit of a hard decision here, if, you know, because it'll take a little bit of time to obviously take the cap back for us, and the submarine is able to move on to the B cap during this period of time. And right, you'll notice that the enemy team still has a small cap advantage here, and they have a bit of a points advantage. So the minnow, which is going to be frozen taking this cap, if you're the 52 player, even under the threat of a CV, knowing minnow's ballistic arcs is not going to be super good. Your options might actually be to not hard engage this at all, to just kind of run away and try to delay this as much as possible, as in just kind of go straight to A1. Wait for your submarine to commit onto the B cap, start to take that, freeze the points there, and maybe that'll be enough to actually win you the game. But yeah, Z52 makes a bit of a mistake. And I think part of this is, I think the Z52 kind of gave up, because you'll notice in chat that Z52 says GG and decides to actually make this push. Now this push, I believe, is going to cost their team the win here, because as soon as you commit into this fight, yes, we've managed to take the cap, right? So we'll have to pay attention here, because we are now getting some points back. But look, right there, enemy submarine has stepped onto the B cap, which means the B cap is frozen, which means that the points would have been even all the way up. So the only differentiating factor here is this Z52 losing this fight to the minnow, and as soon as that happens, the point swing is going to go into our advantage. And look at the actual time, there's less than a minute left, which means that if the Z52 had not committed, this fight would have been theirs. So this is a really, really thin margin. And even then, right, I mean, even during this last engagement here, had the Z52's AP hit the right places, you know, got close enough, the minnow's RNG went a little worse, you know, could have still gone the other way, right? But this was a very, very, very close battle, really decided right at the end there. Enemy submarine, yes, doing a pretty good job freezing this, you know, mid cap here. And by the way, minnow at that crazy range actually managed a nice reset on the submarine, which I think is that's a nice shot, right? Anyways, yeah, so 30 games. This was the one that was the most memorable. Actually, this is the most memorable game out of all the random, like, few games I played here and there. in the last while, this has actually been the most memorable game by far. The only other one being kind of more of a haha funny kind of game, which, you know, unfortunately I can't actually show that replay because the whole replay system doesn't allow me to show and record old ones. So what can I do? Anyways, final results screen for me. There we go. 180k damage. Did my share of work. You know, picked up a bunch of achievements. Sunk 3 enemy ships. Right. So that's good. And yeah, you know, obviously I'll go through the usual screen. Team screen there. 2900 base experience. Always good. Minnow, look at that. 2700. Right. And Haku did pretty good as well. Anyways, that's all there is to do for today, I guess. You know, let me know what you think in the comment section below. And of course, don't forget to, and here we go, the very stereotypical thing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. I don't actually usually say that, but there we go. I said it. It's a fun one. Have a good one, folks. I'll talk to you all again next time.